Well, good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream. Today is October the 23rd. I'm going to do your Just for Today in a meditation. I am brought to you by Hope Through Navigation, and this is our Hood Recovery Services. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Let's go ahead and get into our meditation. I hope you're doing good. I feel amazing. Okay, the topic, surrender. By surrendering control, we gain a far greater power. Let me repeat that. Surrender. By surrendering control, we gain a far greater power. Basic text, page 44. When we were using, we did everything we could to run things our way. We used every scheme imaginable to bring our world under control. When we got what we wanted, we felt powerful, invincible. When we didn't, we felt vulnerable, defeated. But that didn't stop us. It only led to more efforts to control and manipulate our lives into a manageable state. Scheming was our way of denying our powerlessness. As long as we could distract ourselves with our plans, we could put off accepting that we were out of control. Only gradually did we realize that our lives had become unmanageable and that all the conning and manipulating in the world was not going to put our lives back into order. When we admit our powerlessness, we stop trying to control and manage our way to a better life. We surrender. Lacking sufficient power on our own, we seek a power greater than ourselves. Needing support and guidance, we ask that power to care for our will and our lives. Definitely. We ask others in recovery to share their experience with living the NA program instead of trying to program our own lives. The power and direction we seek is all around us. We need only turn away from self to find it. Just for today, I will not try to scheme and manipulate my way to a manageable life. Through the NA program, I will surrender myself to my higher powers care. I like the word called, but it says care. Through the NA program, I will surrender myself to my higher powers care. Step 3. So we're talking about surrender. And actually, when you think about surrender is a spiritual principle from step 1. It's an underlining principle of all of the steps because you have to surrender to win, right? And that's what this is talking about. By surrendering control, we gain a far greater power. Why? Because when we're trying to fix, manage, and control everything, it's a sign that something is out of control. And the more intense we are about fix, managing, and controlling, manipulating things to go our way, the more intensely that we do that is an indicator of how much more or how more we are powerless. Okay? So just look at your last 24 hours. I always like to use the last day or two, or even the last week. But right now, I know for a fact that most people can look at the last 24 hours and be able to immediately, in the spirit of a step 10, immediately identify what it is that has been unmanageable, out of whack, and we have attempted like nobody's business to bring it into a more manageable state, to control it. And sometimes we just don't want to acknowledge that this situation has gotten away from us. and that we're powerless over people, places, and things, and we don't want to surrender. But today I would encourage you to challenge yourself to surrender it again. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I would say an associate, but I sense that they will become a friend of mine. And I don't know, for the first time, I happened to be at a meeting that they had to acknowledge, in other words, that they had just relapsed. They didn't even have 24 hours. And the person that I was sitting next to, I mean, he could barely pick up a cup of coffee without tremors being so obvious. And there are times he would grab his arms or put them underneath the table so that they wouldn't show just how bad he had tremors. And that's a clear sign of detoxing, withdrawal sign. And I sat there just full of compassion. And for whatever reason, I just happened to ask, how much time you got now? Because I'm thinking that it would be like 2 years or more since the last time I saw him in person at an in-person meeting before COVID hit. And I was thinking it should be like 2.5, 3 years out. And, I know that they've relapsed before, and he just looked at me and he said, MightyStream, I fell off. I barely even have a day. And the look of defeat in his eyes. And then he went on to share about how difficult it was, his wife, and having to let her down yet again. And I was full of so much compassion, I could have just cried. So I definitely have a heart for those that struggle. But we have to always remember that surrender is not one of those, I might get it right. Of course, we're not perfect. But when it comes to the disease of addiction, when we surrender and admit our powerlessness, that's the moment we begin to win. That's the moment we begin to have a power greater than ourselves. And it is a twisted victory, right? You have to admit that you've been beat at something in order to win. I want to say at everything. You give up the one thing to receive everything. And the opposite of that is that we give up everything to receive getting high. So we have to flip it around. We have to make a different decision. And you can make that decision moment by moment. You can make a decision not to act out on a behavior moment by moment. You can make a decision not to manage and fix, manage, and control and manipulate people to get your way moment by moment. Some of us, that's all we know to do. It had become a way or a means of survival. If a person, you need help with a bill, and you know that you're at a shut off stage or something crucial is about to happen if you don't come up with this money, and let's say maybe it's $200 bill, and you have in your pocket, you have 180 of it. You just need another $20 and you need it within the next 24 hours or lights out. Instead of asking, honestly, do you have $20 I can have? I'm not sure when I can pay it back, but if I could get $20, I can stop my electricity from being turned off. Do you have $20 that I can get and I'll pay you back? I just can't give you the day. Instead of saying that, we say something like, I need $200 before they turn my heat off, my electricity, excuse me, off. You got $200 I can get from you until next week. See, it's a higher amount, it's more than what you need, and you're making a false commitment to pay it back in a week. And the person wanting to believe that this time you're going to do it said, man, you're going to be in the dark? Yeah, here. Let's run by the ATM and grab it. Or you might have it on you. So you give it to them. You take their $200, right? Mixing up who you is in here, but right, the person gives you the $200. You take it, and now you have 180 plus 200. You have $380. You take care of the bill, and you still got $180 to the good. Next week comes, and you know you owe them money, and you give them a call and you tell them, or maybe you don't, right? Maybe you don't even bother to come. You just dodge them. But generally speaking, you get a hold of them and you just say, I don't have that. I don't have that $200. I just want to see if I can buy a little bit more time. I'm not really quite sure where I'm gonna have it, but and you got 180 in your pocket. Probably by now, a week later, you have 150 or a little less or whatever it is that you have left, but you won't dare to offer any of that to them to partially even pay that bill. Because you're still in the game. You're still in the lifestyle of using people. And that's what you know. But the minute you begin to operate on an honest level and being truthful with people and keeping your commitments, more opportunities begin to open up. But if you stay in that manipulative pattern of always having to cross your T's and dot your I's and make sure everything's in order, no matter what it costs other people to help you put it in order. You're okay with that, but the only thing that's not okay about that is that you have enough sense to know to do better. And so when you act that way, you inevitably begin to feel remorse, begin to feel guilt and shame for having taken advantage of one more victim. So we don't want to use the term victimizing people, but that's exactly what we tend to do. When things aren't going our way and we need things to go our way, because that means that we know what's going to happen. We can predict what's going to happen because we made it follow that course. And so it shows that we have more fear than we have faith, right? So the ability to be honest and admit where we're at, it aborts all of those gamey characteristic traits, those defects of character, right? Honesty is the antidote to disease thinking. So when I talk about the fact that I'm powerless over people, places, and things, it helps me to keep my hands off of situations that aren't mine to control, right? I don't sit back and do nothing about the electric bill, right? I save my money. I pay my bills on time. And if I can't pay them on time, I call the people up and I have a discussion about when I can pay them or how much of an extension I can actually get. But the last thing I want to do is draw other people into my circumstances under false pretenses, because that shows on a major level, it shows just how unmanageable I still am. Today, I challenge you to look at those situations within the last 24 hours that are still quite unmanageable in your life and begin to manage them within your means, right? Maybe you don't need all those subscription plans, right? Maybe you don't need Hulu and Netflix and this and that. Maybe you actually only listen to charters so that you can listen to music. Turn the radio on, right? Let it go and keep your internet, but turn the radio on so you can listen to the music you want to listen to, or get real familiar with just having the internet and using YouTube to create a playlist. These are all things that we can do within our own means without always having to drag other people into our situation. So today, I want you to try not to scheme and manipulate your way into a more manageable life. Through Narcotics Anonymous, I want for you to surrender yourself to the care of your higher power. And let that be your answer. Let that be your guide. Let that be your direction, right? Let that level of surrender show you what you need to do in order to take care of the things that you need to take care of. So you're not dragging people into your mess. Yeah, by surrendering control, we gain a far greater power. And I know that you can do it. And I know that I can do it. There's some things that are very unmanageable in my life. And every time I take a glimpse at them, I get a feeling of feeling defeated. Like this is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the longer I take to ask for some help, the worse the circumstance becomes. So today, I'm going to ask for some help because that's the only way that I can dig myself out of this situation that I'm in. So I don't want you thinking that my life is perfect. I have things just as you do. Fortunately, it's not large enough. It's not the type of situation that is hurting anyone else. It just bothers me. But the more that it bothers me and the less I'm able to manage it and take care of it, the more I try or don't try or defeated I feel. And it causes me a problem. So today, I want you to do the same thing that I'm going to do. Make a commitment to surrender. And my surrender would be that I'm not the only person that can do laundry. It's a simple thing. Other people are willing to help. I just need to allow them to help so that it's not so unmanageable. And I get to this stage every few days, every week. I think I've talked about it before. And I know that you have something. If you look at the last 24 hours, it may not be that weighty, you know? What I'm talking about is not weighty at all. Everyone has plenty of clothes to wear, but because I have a certain manner about myself of wanting to make sure certain things are clean all the time, then it becomes overbearing because I have a lot of laundry. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask for help today with folding because I have a bad wrist. My right wrist is bad and I can barely pinch anything, open anything. I have a brace on it right now, and it just complicates the process of folding things. You see? So maybe what you need to look at is not a big deal, but you know that it's gotten away from you. And you know that you keep trying to manage it, but you're not able to. I felt like I needed to share that with you, not because I'm trying to save face or anything, but I just want to know certain people to know it may not be that you're gambling all your money away. It may not be that. It may not be that you have picked up and transferred your disease of addiction to a different substance. Yeah, maybe it's not that you can't stop having sex with people you don't know. It doesn't have to be that deep. But I'm sure if you're honest, like I am trying to be, that there's something within the last 24 hours you notice that is quite unmanageable and you keep trying to put your hands on it and make it work. And you need to just surrender. And part of surrender will be turning it over to God, but also knowing when to ask for outside help. My name is MightyStream. I hope that's been helpful for you. I am going to get immediately on to the next one. the next meditation, spiritual principle a day. So stay tuned. After you listen to this, figure out what you're going to do different today and have a beautiful day on purpose. I look forward to talking to you soon.